we're not dreaming. Yes, this is real life. And yes, that is Justin Herbert out there practicing with the team and without the boot on the right foot, okay? He injured that foot 2 weeks ago. He is now without that boot and also out there practicing in full gear. Doesn't have the cleats on, doesn't have the pads on either, but no one had the pads on yesterday. And obviously that is the biggest news here, but we also have some other news like some signings, some guys coming back to this team from injury, and also listen to what Jim Harbaugh said when he described Justin Herbert coming back, because he laid it out perfectly.
Felt like the music should be playing. I thought I heard music. Voices of Angels, maybe. Felt great. It felt great. Looked great. Capital G. Like no drop off, pinpoint accuracy, and looked really good.
So if you guys heard Angels singing yesterday at around noon, now we know why. Not only was Justin Herbert back at practice throwing without the boot, but he was participating in those 7-on-7 drills. Like I said, that's not full team drills, but it's still kind of team drills. And he looked really good. Like he just had not skipped a beat at all in the rhythm of this offense, which is kind of the thing that a lot of us were worrying about. He needs to establish that, connection, that rapport with the wide receivers and the tight ends, the running backs, everybody on this team in the offense, and him missing time in training camp, that's maybe gonna hinder that. And it looks like, like I said, he came back and it didn't stop anything. He picked up right where he left off. He was 11 for 12 of his passes in those team drills, the 7-on-7s, and he threw a lot of balls to a lot of different wide receivers and tight ends and running backs. So he really was spreading the ball around a lot, which is exactly what you want to see. Like Justin Herbert, he's got a great ability to throw the ball to the best target, no matter who it is, and just kind of follow the reads that he has the way that he should without favoring, one guy or the other. And we got a full breakdown of his throws from Daniel Popper of The Athletic. I'm going to link the article in the description, but here's the series of plays that Justin Herbert had. So the first series of plays that we had for Justin Herbert was 1:20 left on the clock. This is a 2-minute drill, okay? They got 2 timeouts, end of half situation. He drops back, throws a perfect ball to Josh Palmer down the right sideline. He had separation against Asante, but the ball hit off Palmer's hands, fell incomplete. Bro, this is probably because Joshua Palmer is used to those Easton Stick, Max Duggan kind of passes, and he's not used to the that Justin Herbert brings, bro, okay? So I'm not going to fault Josh Palmer, really. It's just practice. Justin Herbert then, 2nd down completion to Ladd McConkey. 3rd down conversion to tight end Stone Smart. All different receivers right here playing a part. And then check down to J.K. Dobbins in the left flat. So J.K. Dobbins catching passes. Shallow completion again to Ladd McConkey. Really, really happy that Ladd McConkey and Justin Herbert picking up right where they left off. It seems like Ladd McConkey was getting a lot of balls by Justin Herbert. And then 3rd down, Justin Herbert tried to fit a throw in a tight window over the middle to Donald Parham, but linebacker Deion Henley, who had an elite coverage grade against the Rams just this past Saturday, broke up that ball. Really good to see Deion Henley keeping that consistency, I guess, with the coverage, because that's something that we haven't seen from linebackers recently. Kenneth Murray. Okay. Jim Harbaugh told the offense to go for it on 4th down. So then Josh Palmer on a crossing route made the reception. Alohi Gilman laying the wood. Big hit right at the sticks, but Jim Harbaugh gave the offense the 1st down. And then listen to this. Justin Herbert indicated to the defense rather emphatically, Daniel Popper says, that he believed Josh Palmer would have fought through the hit for the 1st down yardage. Okay, Justin Herbert getting out there and really letting people know that he's playing well and his teammates are going to be getting the 1st down like that. I love seeing that. That's the kind of, he's pretty vocal now. He wasn't like this vocal these past few years, but now Jim Harbaugh's with the team. I feel like he's a new man, Justin Herbert. Ensuing 1st down, Justin Herbert took a shot to Josh Palmer in the end zone on a post, incomplete. And then he hit Darius Davis on a slant route to move the offense into field goal range, and then they kick a 45-yard field goal. And then he had another series later on, and you can see, first play, Justin Herbert threw to Quentin Johnston on a comeback route to the left. Ball squirted through Johnston's hands. Cornerback Christian Fulton picked up the drop. Okay. So what is going on with Quentin Johnston? Because he had such a good game against the Rams. He put a lot of good stuff on tape, like the separation, the ability to go up, high point the ball, use his hands to catch it. And then right here, he's dropping balls, squirting through his hands. And Christian Fulton gets the interception off the tip. Like, I don't... What's going on, man? Like, we're starting to get some... Oh, you know what? Is it because Justin Herbert threw the ball hard and he's just not used to it? The same kind of thing I said about Josh Palmer. He's used to those Easton Stick kind of soft balls. Listen, man. Quentin Johnston, I want him to succeed. Don't want him to be dropping balls and squirting balls in his hands. Justin Herbert then threw a deep ball to Joshua Palmer down the right sideline. Asante Samuel Jr. had tight coverage, forced the incompletion. So that's 2 straight defensive plays right there. Justin Herbert completed the final 4 throws of the period. Check down to Luke Benson, undrafted free agent tight end that we've been seeing a lot of good from practice. Flat route to Darius Davis, 3rd down conversion. And then a dig to Josh Palmer, shallow comeback to Donald Parham. So lots of good stuff. Lots of different receivers that Justin Herbert is throwing to. I feel like we've been hearing a lot and seeing a lot of good stuff from guys like Zach Heins and Luke Benson, even Darius Davis in practice, but we just haven't seen that being translated to the games. And I think that's probably because, you know, Justin Herbert is not playing in the games. Like Easton Stick, when you have him as the quarterback to the offense, it's going to bring everybody's potential down to actually make a difference on offense. So those guys like Luke Benson and Zach Heins, they're not really getting a ton of action, getting a ton of balls thrown to him because Easton Stick can't really get it there. That's kind of how I feel about that. And that goes to the same thing to the receivers as well, like Darius Davis, like I said. But really, like Zach Heins hasn't been getting a lot of snaps in the preseason. Don't know exactly why that is. We've seen Luke Benson more. Also saw Tucker Fisk out there, who was just recently signed as a tight end / fullback for this team. He was out there a lot against the Rams. Looked pretty good, I thought, actually. He was blocking like really well. I was impressed with him. I think he actually could, you know, make this team. He has a serious argument to make this team. But like I said, those undrafted free agent tight ends playing well in practice. You know who else is playing well in practice and had a sack yesterday? You already know. Tre'Mon Morris-Brash, bro. He is playing well every single day now at practice. He's played well in those 2 preseason games. It is a certainty at this point that he makes this final 53-man roster. It's just going to be, you know, who is going to be off this team to make room for him. But now that we can all breathe a sigh of relief that Justin Herbert is back and looking good in practices, we got to talk about the moves that were made recently because they're still making moves. The Chargers, they signed Frank Ginda and Jalen Phillips, and they also waived Max Duggan and Leon Johnson in order to make room for those guys. So Frank Ginda, he's the new guy here. He was the USFL Defensive Player of the Year. I talked about him like last week, I think. He spent some time with the Falcons. He worked out for the team last week and is a middle linebacker. So that's yet another linebacker that the Chargers are signing, which kind of makes me think that maybe they're trying to use a lot of linebackers on their special teams. Like they signed Shaquill Quarterman, Frank Ginda now, they were both within the past like week here. And then Shane Lee, they signed from USC as an undrafted free agent, but that was after the whole undrafted free agent wave, and they signed him during OTAs. So that is 3 linebackers that they signed like after OTAs, 2 of them in the past week. So that kind of makes me think, you know, what happened this past week also? It was Nick Neiman got injured in that Seahawks game. So maybe could be possible that Nick Neiman injury is going to force him to miss some time in the regular season. And they want to have competition for his role on the roster, which is mostly special teams, but also backup linebacker. And Jalen Phillips, he also re-signed with the team. He was a UDFA safety out of Clemson, waived recently to make room for another signing. But the guys that are gone, Max Duggan, you know, we didn't really see much from him, but I thought he looked better than Easton Stick. So we'll have to see what happens to Stick here pretty soon, because I think it's just weird that if we are going strictly on who looks better, I think it's weird that Easton Stick is on this roster for longer than Max Duggan is, but neither are great. So, oh well. Maybe Jim Harbaugh's getting revenge from that TCU and Michigan game. He's cutting Max Duggan before Easton Stick. I don't know. But Leon Johnson, another UDFA wide receiver that didn't really do much in practice. And this wide receiver room, it's too crowded for him to have a legit shot anyway. So they're kind of doing good by him by letting him go at this point in training camp. And then speaking of that quarterback room, we've been talking about guys that the Chargers should be bringing in for quarterback competition in the backup spot. I brought up Trey Lance as a possibility, which I still like a lot, but he might be more expensive than Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR from the Browns. And the Browns, they are willing to trade DTR, who fits perfectly with what Harbaugh wants in a quarterback. And he is from UCLA, so this is a locally sourced product here. DTR looked really, really good last preseason. He played very well for UCLA for like 5 years. He is a tough, elusive quarterback that gave me shades of Jalen Hurts when he was coming out of college. And this guy, he has grit, he has toughness, which is, again, exactly what Jim Harbaugh is looking for. I would absolutely give up a 6th-round pick to secure that backup spot, not only for right now, but like for the future, because this guy's very young. He's like 24, 25 years old right now. And this is something that I could also see Joe Ortiz doing because of how many moves that he has made already. And also this just feels like a move that the Ravens would make too. Like trade a low-end pick for a player that turns out to outperform what you gave up to go and get him. And also he's very cheap. He was a quarterback that was drafted on day 3 of the draft just this past year. I also like the idea of Tyler Huntley because he has experience with Greg Roman from his days in Baltimore. But I remember watching DTR at UCLA and just like really, really believing in him. And I think he has the potential to be a legit quarterback in the NFL. So that's a guy that I would bet on just to back up Justin Herbert. And just think of how much of a genius move this would look like if Justin Herbert does happen to miss some time for whatever reason, whether it's this injury or something else, and DTR is the guy that you go out and get at this point in time, and he plays well for you in the absence of Justin Herbert and wins like, you know, goes 3-1 if Justin Herbert misses 4 games. This move would look amazing. Joe Ortiz would look like a genius. So that is everything that you need to know today. And if you did not see my video yesterday, here's how everyone did against the Rams.